Waters Morning Scramble, and glad to have the state senator Bill Coleman on. Good morning, Senator. How are you?
Good morning, Steve. I got my left hand waving the wheat right now.
You know, isn't that funny? The habits that I guess traditions are better. When you hear that, that's just what you do, isn't it?
Exactly.
And I hope you're able to do that in just over a month. Wouldn't that be awesome?
Yeah, I hope so too, and I hope that they just have to make some decisions, and people have to respect those decisions, as we have never been through this before.
You know, on these decisions being made, whether it's football, whether it's public schools or whatever, are people picking your brain as a state senator? They want to know, or do they give you a to-do list almost and say, "Can you help us with this?"
No, not on those kinds of decisions, Steve. They're pretty much leaving me alone and letting the powers that be that make those decisions. And obviously, on a city level, some people that don't like them will let people know, but they haven't been going through me to discuss any of that.
Yeah. Jesse Martin is here with the athletic department, of course, and you if you wanted to go through the state senator, you could right now.
I know. I'm getting ready to take him up. I pretty much heard that he was willing to help.
He is willing to help, and he's a big fan
Yeah.
and ready for the season.
Yeah.
I know that it's been a busy week. I think you were at a swearing in, which may take a different meaning in 2020 than normal, but in this case, you welcome new people. So you're still going to the Capitol on occasion.
Yeah, I went down on Tuesday. Zach Taylor from, I believe, Seminole. He won in the special election in the primary election in June to take over the remaining 2 years of Jason Smalley's Senate seat. So he got to go ahead and get sworn in. It was really interesting, guys. The Senate floor is torn up right now with construction work. But according to our Constitution, to be sworn in, you have to be on the Senate floor. So they took about 8 people in there and stopped the construction for a little while and then did the swearing in and then went downstairs to a conference room and reenacted it. And we all had punch and cookies and had a swell time.
You know, I asked you before we went on a little bit, is there a different feeling now because you've been through all this and it's kind of like an upperclassman or the first day of football practice if you're a veteran and you watch these freshmen come in? Is that the feeling you had?
That's kind of the feeling, but with Zach Taylor, he had been in the House of Representatives for 4 years. So he's been through a lot more than somebody who hadn't been there before. So I couldn't really laugh at him too hard because he knows what he's doing already. But we got other newbies. We got other newbies coming in that'll get hazed, I'm sure.
There you go. And now, what is the feel? I think I asked you this about the time it was going on, but I imagine there's a rush of emotions all over the place. One, just the pride that goes in because it is a patriotic event also, and you realize what you've accomplished just to get there. But is there ever a feeling of what am I in for, and the daunting task that you do have ahead?
About 6 weeks into my first session, Steve, it's what am I doing here?
Yeah.
And why did I do this? And Mommy, can I come home? In time, you get over that.
Yeah, and well, you know the drill after a while, and just like any other job, I guess people take, you understand that a little bit better. But no class has ever come in inheriting what we have right now, which is a daunting task. It really is, and I know the people are pushing and pulling every political leader in the state different directions.
Yeah, and it's going to be interesting this next session because the budget is going to be extremely challenging, maybe even more challenging than it was back during the teacher walkout. So it's going to be tough, but we're going to get ready and roll the sleeves up and get down and do the best we can.
You know, and we're on 93.3 in Ponca City. You can hear us anyway on 105.1. I think it gets into Ponca on 1020 and 1580 AM. And who did I leave out here? I left out one of the stations, 105.1 FM, 93, 91. Yeah. I got all the stations here?
Yep.
Okay, I got them all. And so for the listeners in Ponca, or just out of curiosity for us, we had Mark Moore on yesterday, superintendent of schools, and they're starting again the 20th and plan to go in classroom, and all that is still on the table, sort of. They've got their plan now, but you're watching the numbers, and you're always ready to make a move if you have to. Is that the approach they're taking in Ponca?
Correct. We are going to start school, and everybody has the option. They can do half days in person, no days in person, or all days in person.
Yeah. What's the date that they start? They start August 20th here. Where do they start? When do they start there?
I think we're still starting the 13th here.
Oh, really? Okay.
Now that I'm an empty nester, I'm not sure on that, Steve.
Right. So, hey, you also want to talk a little baseball, I think. Have you been watching baseball?
Oh, I've been watching baseball.
So have
I
I.
spent the $25 a month to get the MLB, and because it's the only way I can watch the Cincinnati Reds down here. You can't watch them hardly at all unless Fox or somebody has them on the weekend. So I'm a big Cincinnati Reds fan. So I've been watching them. Great team in the fact that they have maybe one of the best starting rotations in baseball, and they're three starters, and they've got a decent offense. Then they have the bullpen, who I call the arson squad. The bullpen has not been doing very well for my Cincinnati Reds.
You know, bullpens are, and there's different players and different teams. They're sort of like a kicking team to me in football or whatever. Nobody ever likes their bullpen because, I mean,
Right.
when you come in, you have one thing to do, and that's get through the inning. And now the rules have
Well,
changed where you've got to pitch to three hitters. So that's a
If
little
you
different.
call in 1990, the Reds had the Nasty Boys. It was the
I
three
remember.
guys the three
Ron
relievers that
Dibble,
would come
Rob
out,
Dibble.
and they were just Rob Dibble, Norm Charlton, and Randy Myers, and they would just shut them down. And this year they still got the Nasty Boys, but they're a different kind of nasty.
You know, there was this kind of ties in with COVID there, but Joey Votto, who was a star player, felt the signs, the symptoms, and you probably know more about this than me, but he wasn't feeling very good. And so he let the team know. He stayed away, self-quarantined, was tested, I believe, twice, and tested negative both times, started feeling better, and then he came back, and I think he hit a game-winning home run the other day. But
Yeah, he sure did.
he did things that they were using that as an example of the fact that, you know, he hadn't done anything wrong, but he wasn't feeling good. And he, you know, I don't want to go to the park, got a sore throat and whatever he had. And so he took the precautions for a couple of days, was tested twice. And I think those are the examples we're going to see that other sports learn from, basically. It's okay,
Yeah.
if there are warning signs, be cautious.
Speak up and take precautions. There's no doubt about it. It's what you have to do these days.
Hey, as a broadcaster, are you, and I would imagine, because I am, the innovation that the telecast use and just the implementing the music involved, and different people do it differently. The Cardinals have the organ in the background. They're famous for, they play the organ all the time. They used to have a guy, Ernie Hayes, was at the organ. They play all that. They have the PA. They pipe in the noise that the telecast have that sounding to me pretty natural. Are the Reds doing that too?
Yes, they are, and then they got the cardboard cutouts in the stands now at Cincinnati as well. One thing I enjoy, Steve, I'll flip on the awake broadcast, and so I can hear different play-by-play teams that I've never heard
Right.
before. That's where the broadcaster in me is enjoying the baseball broadcasts.
And that's where your MLB. I don't have MLB, but I like doing that too because you hear, and you also get, I think, sometimes a truer sense of your own team because if they're praising or criticizing the same things you're praising and criticizing, they have a different point of view, so you kind of know you're on the right page.
Right, with baseball, the home team play-by-play are just that. They are the home team, and they'll praise the home team throughout the whole game. And then the away team, when you hear them praise your team, it's like, wow, that must be really serious then.
Right, that's exactly. What about are the cardboard cutouts? Johnny Bench and Pete Rose, and they're Hall of Famers with Pete Rose in there.
I haven't been able to pick anyone in particular out yet.
So I know, like on the Royals, right behind home plate, they have their historic players there, which is pretty cool. You go, hey, there's Frank White, there's Amos Otis, there's so-and-so. And I think they're different from game to game, which is cool.
I'm not sure who they've got there on the Reds, but my vision's so bad now, I don't know if I could tell anyway.
Yeah. Jesse, you got a question there?
No, well, I did. I was going to see, Bill, do you actually have a cutout out there?
I don't, Jesse. I don't.
Because I know they.
Although I have been wanting to
like
Google how you get
actually
your mug on the NBA games.
Can you not hear him?
Yeah, I can't.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
I told you you're going to have problems with those. Now I'll be able to go ahead. And,
Okay.
He said he does not have his. That was
You
his
do not
answer.
have one. I do have a buddy that's a Pittsburgh Pirate season ticket holder, and so he has one. He bought one, and then he posted on social media the other day that a foul ball actually hit his cutout, and they mailed him the foul ball.
They mailed it to him?
Yeah, mailed it to him as a memento. So I thought that was a great way to continue to engage your fans in a time where fans aren't in the stands. So I just didn't know if there was a bill cut out somewhere.
No, there's not. I haven't looked into that yet. I do understand most teams, though, all the money goes to charity.
Yeah.
That once you get your cutout there, it's not free, but they will give all the money to charity.
Yeah. I've seen some that were actually and foul balls or home runs that went into nowhere. they were auctioning them online.
Yeah.
They would give a number, and then they would go to charity. So, which is kind of
That's
cool.
good. That's
Yeah.
good.
Now, one concept I really enjoy of that has been the NBA, where they've had the virtual fans. I don't know if you guys have seen that.
Yes.
And you zoom in, and it's an actual fan, and it kind of cuts it out so you don't see your background, but it cuts it out around your body. So you're sitting in a seat, and you can see facial expressions of when plays happen, and people are yelling and cheering in their home watching the game. So it's been fun to see the innovation.
I saw Mayor Holt on
Yeah.
the other night. He was sitting in the stands, if you will.
Now, did they have him yelling and stuff, and then escorted out finally at the?
No, they didn't. He got the virtual seat.
No, those are cool
Yeah.
though. It's a great and the creativity, like you mentioned, the broadcaster. I knew these telecasts would be good because it forces you to be and think outside the box, which is cool. And so I like that aspect a lot too. You also mentioned you are a mask wearer, and you said why you wear a mask. I had a guess earlier on. I won't tell you what it was, but what's your answer going to be?
Oh, why? Because other people are scared.
Yeah.
That's
You're doing it for other people.
I'm obviously not living in a bubble. I've been to both coasts this summer. I'm going to Las Vegas in a couple of weeks, so I'll be in the desert. But the fear that other people have about this virus, I would like to set them at ease when I go grocery shopping, and that's why I put the mask on when I'm out grocery shopping, post office, and things of that nature. I'm not 100% with it, but if it's on me, I'll put it on.
Yeah, when we go into stores here, we have the mandate in Stillwater, and I've not been in a store and I'd probably go twice a week, something like that, where it's been an issue at all. Everybody's wearing it, and so it's not been an issue, and I always have mine. And here was my guess. You want to know because I heard this with somebody else. I thought maybe you had a promise to your daughter or something like that. Does that make sense?
No. But I was thinking about other people as well.
Right. So along those lines, I just saw somewhere where they promised their daughter made a promise. Do me a favor.
Right.
And you are the purpose is you're looking after other people. That's the point of it. So
she made me promise to shut up.
Well, in radio that doesn't work, and your job as state senator doesn't. What's next on the table in the because it really is a 12 months job as state senator? What's your next big task here?
Well, I start looking at the next session, Steve, pretty quick, and start looking at what bills do I want to run, and I'm sure the phone will start ringing with people wanting me to run some bills. That's the way the process works, and I got a couple of things I'm thinking about running that might be kind of big. A lot of it's got to do with who's the team going to be in November, who's going to be in the Senate, as far as what committee assignments we get, things of that nature. So you got to wait a little bit to find out what your team's going to be after the November elections, and I'll look at that seriously and then go from there. But I'll be doing some work. I'll go down and meet with Senate staff and ask them, if we did this law, how does this work? How can we do this, that, and the other? So it is time to get back to work and start thinking about the next session, which doesn't start until the first Monday of February.
Yeah, wow. It's hard to even imagine February right now. But hey, well, you mentioned a little bit all the restoration going there. How's it looking overall right now at the Capitol?
The fourth floor rotunda has been closed off the whole last session. And when I went down there on Tuesday, they had the fake walls down, the temporary walls down. You still can't walk across the rotunda, but you got a good look at the detail work they've done on the painting inside the rotunda. And there on the fourth floor, it is just exquisitely gorgeous. It is just the detail they put in there. It's really, when this thing's going to be done, it's something that the entire state of Oklahoma should be proud of. How beautiful that Capitol looks, both on the inside and the outside. As you recall, the first phase of that project was to stop the walls from crumbling on the outside, but the inside is going to be very, very gorgeous when it's all said and done. And I got a good look at that Tuesday.
That's awesome. So, hey, before we let you go, and we're going to do one more little segment probably after the break here with Jesse, but I'm going to ask Jesse about the fans attending the game.
Mm-hmm.
Will Bill Coleman, who's a longtime season ticket holder, be able to attend Cowboy games?
Our plan is to have Bill in the stands, right? So
there you go.
We're continuing to work on those plans, and we'll dive into that a little bit on the next segment. We'll talk a little bit more about
Jesse,
that.
if you need me in a mask or a biohazard suit, I'm all in, whatever it takes.
Well, and I think you're spot on. People are doing it because out of respect of others, and I think you've seen that change over the last month, just public opinion on masks and stuff like that. And I think it really shows humanity kicking in,
Yeah.
and that we do care for one another. And so,
Jesse, the one thing I've really wondered about this is are you going to help pump up the crowd noise any? Because if you are at a limited capacity, and then we have the mask on, that's going to muffle down the crowd noise too.
yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point. So
Yeah.
you're having to contemplate those. Are you watching Major League Baseball and stuff and how they're doing
Of
it?
course, of course, and all sports. You watch all of those, and you try to figure out. I'm really big into R&D, and that's rip off and duplicate, right? So if you see
bet.
something that's
Oh, I
going
love
on,
that,
you rip
Jesse.
it off and duplicate it, and into the way that it works within your scenario. So I'm all about R&D, and we're definitely looking at all those different angles, right?
Very good. No, that's a very good point, though, because you are going to have to think about those things, and it does work.
I mean, even the band.
The band will be beforehand what they're leaning at right now, and Wayne told us they were looking at being in the stands probably, so that'll be different.
And all that's fluid too, right?
Yeah.
As you find out more and more, and
And they might change rules on when the band can play because they
Yeah.
do have music rules in the NCAA, and they may waive. I would think, right? You want noise.
you do, but you also, if you look at protruding,
Yeah.
the sound from an instrument comes from you blowing in it. So there's a lot of different opinions on it and different stuff like that. So there's a lot of things to work through. But yeah, that's definitely a part of the college experience, right? Is the band playing. That's what sets us apart from any other sporting event. Is you have that traditional band playing during breaks within the game. So,
Those are things I really didn't think about, but when you're talking about the wind instruments,
Yeah.
We may just have violins and drums.
Yeah.
Stuff you don't have to blow.
the harp.
And the harp. Well, he said that because he knows that Bill and I both play the harp.
Yeah.
So, anyway, Senator, did we cover everything?
Jesse, are we allowed to bring in cowbells?
Oh, there you go.
That I think it would fall under the Big 12 noise policy of no artificial noisemakers.
I
So.
think you're going to have to waive
I
some
think,
of
you
those.
There's always a chance for change, right? We've seen plenty of change this year, but as of right now, Bill, I think you probably should leave that cowbell at home
Yeah.
Okay.
until
I
you hear
will, Jesse.
otherwise.
But his hazardous waste suit that he was talking about there.
Feel free to wear that.
Yeah. Well, he looks good in it because he worked to the Christmas party.
Yeah.
So, anyway, hey, thanks for all you do. Appreciate that. And we'll do this next week. So,
We'll do it, gentlemen.
all right.
Thank
Thanks.
you all very
Have a
much.
good weekend.
There's State Senator Bill Coleman.